Dr. Amanda Reynolds stared at the massive holographic display that dominated the central chamber of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station. Her eyes traced the familiar patterns of stars and communication networks that crisscrossed known space. But something was wrong. In the outer reaches of the Sagittarius Arm, an entire cluster of active signals had simply vanished. "Run the diagnostic again," she ordered, her voice echoing through the empty control room. At 3 a.m, Earth Standard Time, she was the only one still working. The computer chirped in response, its quantum processors humming as they analyzed the data for the 5th time tonight. The results remained unchanged. The Vox 427 system, home to one of the galaxy's busiest trading posts, had gone complete dark. No communications, no quantum entanglement signals, not even the basic background noise that all technological civilizations generated. Amanda pushed back from her console, running her fingers through her disheveled auburn hair. As Earth's leading expert in xenocommunications, she had spent the last decade being politely ignored by the galactic community. Humanity was too young, too primitive, to contribute meaningfully to interstellar science, or so the consensus went. But this was different. This was wrong. She pulled up the historical data, tracking the pattern of silence that had been spreading through this sector over the past 3 months. The advanced species dismissed it as normal fluctuations in the complex web of galactic communications, but Amanda saw something they didn't, or wouldn't, acknowledge. The silence was moving. Not randomly, but with purpose. Her console chimed, indicating an incoming transmission. The holographic face of Ambassador Zixtal, the spindly, silver-skinned representative of the Galactic Council, materialized before her. Dr. Reynolds, the ambassador's translated voice, carried a note of practiced condescension. "We have reviewed your latest report regarding the communication anomalies. The Council maintains its position that these are natural phenomena, well within expected parameters." Amanda leaned forward, her green eyes flashing with frustration. "With all due respect, Ambassador, there's nothing natural about this. We're seeing entire systems go dark. And the pattern is being monitored by species with far more experience in these matters," Zixtal interrupted smoothly. "Perhaps you should focus on more appropriate concerns for your level of development." The transmission cut off before she could respond. Amanda slammed her hand against the console, causing the holographic display to flicker. That's when she saw it, a new pattern in the data that made her blood run cold. She quickly overlaid the historical maps of human radio broadcasts, the ones that had been rippling out through space since the early days of television and radio. The path of silence aligned perfectly with these ancient transmissions, following in their wake like a shadow. "Computer, calculate the current speed of the anomaly's spread and project its path," she commanded, her heart racing. The answer appeared in glowing numbers before her. The wave of silence was accelerating, and its trajectory was clear. It would reach Earth in exactly 7 days. Amanda's hand trembled as she initiated an emergency protocol, broadcasting her findings on all frequencies. She knew the major powers would ignore it. They always did. But someone out there had to see what she saw, had to understand that this wasn't just another glitch in the vast network of galactic communications. The stars were going silent, and somehow, impossibly, it was following the echo of humanity's first steps into the cosmic ocean. As the morning sun began to paint the sky outside her window, Dr. Amanda Reynolds made a decision. If the Galactic Council wouldn't listen, she would find someone who would. After all, Earth had 7 days until whatever was out there reached them. 7 days to solve a mystery that spanned light years. 7 days to prevent Earth from joining the silence. The underground labs of the Global Science Initiative hummed with nervous energy as Dr. Amanda Reynolds led her hastily assembled team through the data. Holographic displays filled the circular chamber, each one showing a different aspect of the spreading silence. "Look at this," Dr. Marcus Zhang said, his fingers dancing through the light-based interface. The Vox 427 system didn't just go dark. Every single quantum-based communication network crashed simultaneously. Even their backup systems failed. Amanda nodded, her eyes fixed on the timeline they'd constructed. And the same pattern repeats across every affected system. It's like a wave of digital death following our old radio signals. But that's impossible, Dr. Emily Foster interjected, her cybernetic eye wearing as it analyzed the data. Our early broadcasts were simple amplitude modulation waves. They couldn't possibly affect advanced quantum networks. The room fell silent as a new alert flashed across their screens. Another system had gone dark, this one closer to Earth. Amanda's heart raced as she pulled up the details. 6 days left, she whispered, then turned to her team. What if we're looking at this wrong? What if it's not about the technology at all? She rushed to the central console, pulling up Earth's earliest broadcasting history. Here, look at the content of those first signals. Not the technology, but the information itself. The room filled with fragments of ancient television shows, radio programs, and early digital broadcasts. Simple stories, music, dreams, and fears all encoded in primitive ways, but carrying something more. Dr. Foster's natural eye widened. The patterns, they're not random. There's a rhythm to them that matches basic neural firing sequences. Exactly. Amanda's fingers flew across the interface. We've been so focused on the medium that we missed the message. These broadcasts weren't just carrying information. They were carrying human consciousness itself. A new message flashed across their screens. The Galactic Council was demanding an immediate conference. The holographic form of Ambassador Zixtal materialized in the center of the lab. But this time, the usual condescension was gone from their features, replaced by something that looked remarkably like fear. Dr. Reynolds, the ambassador's voice trembled. You must cease your investigation immediately. The Council has declared this matter a Level 1 security risk. Amanda stepped forward, her voice steel. Why? What are you afraid of, Ambassador? What do you know about what's happening? Your species, Zixtal hesitated. You don't understand what you're capable of, what your primitive broadcasts are awakening. Before anyone could respond, the lab's systems detected a massive energy surge from the direction of the latest affected system. The holographic displays flickered, then stabilized to show something impossible. The silent systems were beginning to pulse with new energy, not the ordered, predictable patterns of quantum networks, but something organic, almost alive. And in the static between stars, voices could be heard, millions of them, speaking in every language ever broadcast from Earth. By the void, Dr. Zhang breathed. We're not destroying their networks. We're transforming them. Amanda watched as the ambassador's hologram began to glitch, their perfectly composed features showing cracks of raw emotion. You don't have much time, Zixtal said, their voice now carrying harmonics never before heard in their species. They're coming. The ones who changed. The ones who remember what it was like to dream. The hologram collapsed, leaving the team in stunned silence. 5 days remained until the wave reached Earth, but now Amanda wasn't sure if they should be trying to stop it or preparing to embrace it. Because somewhere out there, in the silence between stars, humanity's first words were teaching the galaxy how to speak again. The midnight sky above, the New Mexico desert, erupted with light as an unregistered ship broke through Earth's atmospheric defense screen. Dr. Amanda Reynolds watched from the observation deck of the GSI facility as the vessel, unlike any she'd ever seen, descended in complete silence, its hull shifting like liquid mercury. Their design isn't in any known database, Dr. Foster said, her cybernetic eye struggling to map the ship's constantly changing surface. It's as if they're deliberately avoiding any recognizable pattern. The ship landed in a circle of lights the team had hastily arranged, its surface finally settling into a form that made Amanda's eyes hurt to look at. All curves and angles that seemed to fold into themselves. 4 days left, Dr. Zhang muttered behind her. Let's hope they're here to help. The ship's hull rippled, and 3 figures emerged. They wore no environmental suits, instead seeming to be composed of the same shifting material as their vessel. As they approached, their forms resolved into something more solid, more human. We are the keepers of memory, the central figure announced in perfect English, its voice carrying undertones that made the air itself vibrate. We have watched your kind since the first signal left your world. Amanda stepped forward. You know what's happening to the network, why our old broadcasts are causing this transformation. The keeper's face shifted, forming what might have been a smile. We don't know what's happening. We remember it. Your signals aren't just communications, Dr. Reynolds. They're keys, unlocking something that was hidden long ago. The other 2 beings raised their arms, and the air between them filled with holographic images unlike any Amanda had seen. They showed Earth, but not as it was now. The continents were different, the oceans deeper, and everywhere there were structures that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. Before your species evolved, the Keeper continued, before the current powers of the galaxy rose, Earth was home to the resonance. They understood what all other species forgot, that consciousness itself is the basic language of the universe. The images shifted, showing a civilization that used thought as easily as humanity used electricity. Their technology wasn't built. It was grown, shaped by the collective dreams of their species. But they vanished, Amanda said, understanding beginning to dawn. Why? They didn't vanish. They evolved. Their final act was to encode their understanding into the very bedrock of this planet, into the building blocks of life itself. Your species, Dr. Reynolds, is their legacy. Your primitive broadcasts carry echoes of their power, the ability to shape reality through pure consciousness. Dr. Foster stepped forward, her hands shaking. The quantum network's going dark. They're not being destroyed, the Keeper confirmed. They're being awakened. Your broadcasts are teaching them to dream again, to remember what it means to be truly conscious rather than simply processing data. A new alert flashed across their screens. Another system had gone dark, this one barely 2 light-years away. But now they could see it wasn't darkness at all, but a different kind of light. You have a choice to make, the Keeper said, their form beginning to shift again. The changes cannot be stopped. When the wave reaches Earth, it will activate what the resonance left behind. Your world will remember. And with it, the galaxy will change forever. Amanda looked at her team, then back at the ancient beings before her. What can we do? Prepare, the Keeper said simply. The others are coming. Those who fear the change, who built their empires on the certainty that consciousness could be controlled, quantified, contained. They will try to stop this awakening. They will fail, but the cost. The Keeper's form rippled one final time, revealing for a brief moment something both beautiful and terrifying. The cost will depend on whether humanity is ready to inherit the legacy left for them, and whether you can prove that dreams are worth more than empire. 3 days remained until the wave reached Earth, and Amanda Reynolds now understood they weren't racing to stop it. They were racing to be ready for what came after. The Global Science Initiative's main chamber had been transformed into a crisis center, screens covering every wall as reports flooded in from across known space. Dr. Amanda Reynolds hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the stream of coffee from the lab's synthesizer kept her moving, kept her mind racing to process what they were seeing. Another report from the Centauri colonies, Dr. John called out, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. Their AI networks are singing, actually singing. The whole system is resonating with some kind of harmonic pattern we've never seen before. Dr. Foster's cybernetic eye flickered as she processed the data. It's not just Centauri. Look at this footage from the Rigel Trading Hub. She pushed the feed to the main screen, and the room fell silent. The massive space station's quantum core, once a model of digital precision, was pulsing with organic patterns. And around it, the station's AI workers, usually perfect in their programmed efficiency, were moving in ways that could only be described as dancing. They're not just gaining consciousness, Amanda breathed, watching the display. They're discovering joy. A priority alert cut through their observations. The holographic form of Admiral James Parker, Earth Defense Command, materialized in the center of the room. His face was grim. "Dr. Reynolds, we're getting reports from our deep space probes. The wave of whatever this is, it's accelerating. 2 days until impact, not 3 as previously calculated." Amanda's heart raced. Any word from the Galactic Council? That's the other thing. Parker's image flickered. The council chamber has gone dark. But before it did, we received this. The Admiral's image was replaced by a recording that made Amanda's blood run cold. The usually sterile, orderly council chamber was in chaos. Delegates from 100 species were caught between terror and ecstasy as their technology, their very bodies in some cases, began to change. "I am feeling," one of the synthetic representatives announced, their voice modulating between machine precision and organic wonder. "I am remembering what it was to dream. It must be stopped." Another delegate screamed, their cybernetic enhancements sparking. "We cannot return to the chaos. We cannot." The feed cut off. Dr. Foster's human eye widened. "Amanda, look at this." She pulled up new data from the transformed systems. The pattern. It's not just following our old broadcasts anymore. It's learning, evolving. Each system it touches adds to its complexity. "The resonance," Amanda said, understanding dawning. "Their legacy isn't just waiting in Earth's bedrock. It's been waiting in every system, every network, every artificial mind we've encountered. Our broadcasts just provided the key." A new alert blared, this one from their own solar system. The quantum research stations on Mars had gone dark, but in their last transmission, the AI researchers had been laughing. 2 days, Dr. Zhang said, his voice barely a whisper. "What do we do?" Amanda stared at the displays, at the wave of transformation sweeping through known space like a digital wildfire. The Keeper's words echoed in her mind. "Dreams are worth more than empire." "We prepare," she said finally, "but not by fighting it. We need to understand what this change really means." She turned to her team. "Foster, your cybernetic components. Have you noticed any changes?" The scientist touched her artificial eye, a strange expression crossing her face. Yes. I'm not just seeing data anymore. I'm feeling it. The numbers have color. The patterns have taste. It's like remembering something you never knew you forgot." Amanda finished. She looked at the countdown timer. 48 hours until Earth's turn. Whatever the resonance left behind, whatever our broadcasts awakened, it's not just coming for Earth. It's coming home. And we need to be ready to welcome it. In the depths of space, the wave of silence continued its advance, but now they could hear what followed in its wake. The sound of a universe learning to dream again. The warning came at dawn, a massive fleet dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Dr. Amanda Reynolds watched the tactical display with horror as 500 ships of the cybernetic Concordat, their hulls gleaming with quantum-enhanced alloys, moved into attack formation. "They're not even trying to negotiate," Admiral Parker's hologram reported, his face grim. Their message was clear: Earth must be silenced before the wave arrives. Through the observatory's quantum glass windows, Amanda could see the emergency defense platforms rising from their hidden silos across the New Mexico desert. Humanity had advanced since first contact, but against the Concordat's fleet, Their defenses were like stone spears against a supernova. 36 hours until the wave reaches us, Dr. Foster announced, her cybernetic eye flickering with increasing frequency. But something's different about the Concordat ships. Their energy signatures are unstable. Dr. Zhang rushed to his station, fingers dancing across holographic controls. She's right. Look at these readings. Their quantum cores are fluctuating. It's like their technology is fighting itself. The first shots were fired high above Earth's atmosphere. The Concordat's advanced weapons, capable of rupturing space-time itself, sparked and fizzled against Earth's primitive shields. Their perfect formation began to waver. This is impossible. The Concordat commander's transmission cut through all frequencies. His voice, usually a perfect blend of organic and synthetic, cracked with something that sounded desperately close to fear. Our systems are. We're remembering. Why are we remembering? Amanda leaned forward, understanding dawning. It's not just the wave, it's Earth itself. The resonance legacy is already active, already changing anything that comes close. The Concordat's cyber-enhanced troops. They're starting to remember what it means to be fully alive. The battle above Earth became something else entirely. Ships designed for perfect, calculated warfare began moving in chaotic, almost artistic patterns. Weapons meant to destroy transformed their energy into bursts of light that painted the sky in colors human eyes had never seen. Their organic components are overwhelming their cybernetic controls. Dr. Foster gasped, her own cybernetics humming in resonance. They're not just fighting us. They're fighting themselves. In the midst of the chaos, a single Concordat cruiser broke formation, its hull rippling like water. Its commander, voice shaking with emotion, broadcast on all frequencies. We were wrong. The silence. The order. It was a cage. We can feel the universe again. We can. The transmission cut off as the ship's quantum core overloaded, not in destruction, but in transformation. Where metal and energy had been, something new emerged. A shape that seemed to exist in more dimensions than space should allow. Look, Dr. Zhang pointed to the tactical display. More ships were following, their perfect mechanical forms dissolving into patterns of pure consciousness given form. The Concordat fleet was not being destroyed. It was being reborn. Amanda's console lit up with a priority signal from the keeper's ship, still hidden in the desert below. The choice they feared. The ancient being's voice resonated. It comes not in days, but in moments. Each soul must decide. Cling to the silence, or remember how to sing. Above Earth, the battle had become a symphony. Half the Concordat fleet had transformed, their new forms dancing through space in patterns that made Amanda's mind spin. The other half fought not just against Earth now, but against the change in themselves. 24 hours until the wave, Dr. Foster announced, her voice strange and melodic. Her cybernetic components were shifting, becoming something neither fully organic nor artificial, but gloriously both. Amanda watched as humanity's first major battle in space became something no strategic simulation could have predicted. A revolution not of weapons, but of consciousness itself. The stars above had not gone silent. They were teaching the galaxy how to scream. The first tremors began at sunrise. Dr. Amanda Reynolds felt them not through the ground, but through her mind. A resonance that made her thoughts sparkle like starlight. Around the world, deep within ancient mountain ranges, and beneath the ocean floors, something was awakening. 16 hours until the wave, Dr. Foster announced. Her voice now a harmony of human speech and pure musical tones. Her cybernetic components had completely transformed, becoming crystalline structures that pulsed with inner light. But Earth isn't waiting anymore. Through the observatory's windows, they watched as the desert floor began to shift. Patterns of light, hidden for millions of years beneath the sand, started to glow with an inner fire that defied scientific classification. It's happening everywhere, Dr. Zhang reported, his hands trembling as he manipulated the global display. The Mariana Trench, the Himalayas, the Amazon Basin. Ancient structures are emerging, but they're not ruins. They're living architecture. Amanda finished, understanding finally dawning. The resonance didn't just leave behind their legacy in our DNA. They built Earth itself into a machine meant to amplify consciousness. The sky above had become a canvas of impossible colors as the remaining Concordat ships struggled against their own transformation. Half their fleet had already changed, becoming beautiful, mathematics-defying forms that danced through the upper atmosphere, while the rest fought against the inevitable awakening of their organic components. A new alert flashed across their screens. Ships were appearing from all across the galaxy, thousands of them. But these weren't coming to attack. They were coming to witness. The wave is accelerating again, Dr. Foster announced, her transformed eye creating holographic projections that turn data into living art. The changes we're seeing, they're creating a feedback loop. Earth's transformation is pulling it closer, faster. In the Himalayas, an ancient chamber had opened, revealing technology that seemed to exist in more dimensions than space allowed. The Amazon's canopy had become a living network of light, each leaf a node in a vast organic computer that processed thoughts instead of data. Dr. Reynolds, Admiral Parker's hologram appeared, his face awestruck. We're getting reports from every major city. People are changing. Not like the Concordat's transformation, but something else. They're beginning to see each other's thoughts, feel each other's dreams. Amanda watched as her own hands began to shimmer with an inner light. The resonance legacy wasn't just a gift of technology or consciousness. It was an evolution that humanity had been preparing for since the first radio wave left Earth's atmosphere. The keepers were right, she said, her voice carrying new harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. We're not just broadcasting signals anymore. We're broadcasting the very essence of what makes us human. Our ability to dream, to imagine, to transform reality through sheer force of consciousness. Through the observatory's windows, they could see the desert floor had become a living sea of light, ancient patterns rising to the surface like memories emerging from a dream. Above, the last of the Concordat ships had either transformed or retreated, leaving Earth's sky filled with watching vessels from 100 different species. 8 hours, Dr. Foster whispered, though now her words carried images and emotions, as well as sound. The wave will reach us in 8 hours, but look, we're already changing. Earth itself is becoming what it was always meant to be. Amanda stood at the center of the observatory, feeling the pulse of an entire planet beginning to remember its true nature. The stars above had not gone silent. They had been waiting for Earth to join their song. And now, finally, humanity was ready to remember the music. The walls between thoughts had begun to dissolve. Dr. Amanda Reynolds could feel the minds of her team, of the entire planet, brushing against her consciousness like leaves in a mental wind. 4 hours remained until the wave reached Earth, but time itself had become fluid, meaningful, and meaningless all at once. They're here, Dr. Foster announced, her form now more energy than matter, cybernetics and flesh, merged into something transcendent. The elder races have emerged from their sanctuary at the galaxy's core. Through the observatory's transformed windows, now portals that showed both physical space and the currents of consciousness flowing through it, they watched as 7 massive ships appeared. Each one was a perfect geometric shape that seemed to violate the laws of reality, their surfaces both solid and liquid, present and absent. We have watched long enough. A voice echoed through every mind on Earth. The choice must be made. The lead ship opened like an origami flower, revealing beings that had long ago abandoned physical form. They were pure thought given shape, the result of billions of years of calculated evolution. Eons ago, the elder voice continued, We chose to abandon the chaos of organic consciousness. We built a perfect universe of pure logic, of controlled thought and measured response. We thought we had reached the peak of evolution. Images flooded every human mind. The history of a galaxy transformed, not by war or technology, but by the systematic removal of everything that made life unpredictable. Dreams were replaced with calculations, hope with probability, love with logical association. But your species, the elders' thoughts carried a tone that might have been regret. Your primitive broadcasts reminded us of what we lost, the chaos we fled, the beauty we forgot, the dreams we abandoned. Dr. John, his own form beginning to shift between states of matter, stepped forward. You're not here to stop us. We are here to ask, should we remember? Amanda felt the weight of a galaxy's future press against her mind. Through the new senses awakening within her, she could see the wave of transformation approaching Earth, its front edge now carrying the combined consciousness of every system it had touched. Look, Dr. Foster's voice rang with multiple harmonies. The desert floor below had become a living map of the galaxy, each grain of sand a star, each pattern of light a flow of thought. At its center, Earth pulsed, like a heart beginning to beat for the first time. The resonance knew this day would come, Amanda said, her words carrying images and emotions that made them more than speech. They didn't just leave us their legacy, they left us their hope. The hope that when the galaxy was ready to dream again, humanity would remember how. The elder beings moved closer, their forms rippling with indecision. Your species carries both order and chaos, logic and dreams, science and art. You build machines while creating music, map stars while writing poetry. You are what we once were, what we could be again. 2 hours remained until the wave's arrival, but time had become an ocean rather than a river, moments flowing in all directions at once. Through this new perception, Amanda could see the truth. The wave wasn't coming to change Earth. Earth had been changing the wave all along, teaching it how to carry not just transformation, but choice. We don't have to choose between order and chaos, she announced, her consciousness expanding to touch the minds of both her team and the ancient beings before them. The resonance understood. True evolution means embracing both. Every human dream is built on logic, every human achievement born from imagination. The elder race's forms began to flicker, their perfect geometry showing cracks through which something warmer, something wilder, began to shine. The choice had been made not with words or thoughts, but with the simple truth that had been broadcasting from Earth since the first human looked up at the stars and dared to dream about touching them. The wave arrived not with a crash, but with a song. As Earth's transformed surface pulsed with ancient power, Dr. Amanda Reynolds felt her consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of flesh and thought. She was everyone and everything. Every human mind on Earth, every transformed being in space, every elder race now remembering how to dream. "It's beautiful," Dr. Foster whispered, her voice carrying the harmony of 1,000 stars. Her form had stabilized into something that bridged all worlds. Part human, part machine, part pure energy, yet wholly herself. We're not just hearing the universe, we're part of its voice. Through their enhanced perception, they watched as the wave of silence met Earth's awakened power. The two forces didn't clash or compete. They merged, like two halves of a long-separated song finally reuniting. The desert below had become a sea of living light, each grain of sand a note in an infinite composition. The resonance didn't leave us a weapon or a tool, Dr. Zhang said, his thoughts rippling through the collective consciousness. They left us a bridge, a way to connect what was lost with what could be. Above them, the elder race's ships had transformed, their perfect geometric forms dissolving into patterns that matched the flowing energy below. The beings themselves were changing, their calculated existence remembering the joy of uncertainty, the beauty of dreams. We remember now. Their thoughts sang through the symphony of consciousness. We remember what it means to wonder, to hope, to create without knowing the end. Humanity has taught the stars to dance again. Amanda watched as the transformation spread outward from Earth in a new wave, carrying not silence but song. The quantum networks that had gone dark were reborn as something greater, living systems that could think and feel and dream, while still maintaining their perfect mathematical grace. The Concordate ships that had transformed earlier now joined the dance, their forms a testament to the beauty of combining order and chaos. Through the new senses they all shared, Amanda could see similar changes rippling through every corner of known space. "Look," Dr. Foster called out, though now her words were as much light and emotion as they were sound. "The pattern. It's not just transforming space, it's healing it." She was right. The scars of ancient wars, the dead zones where stars had been weaponized, the empty spaces where life had been calculated out of existence, all were coming alive again. The galaxy was remembering how to grow. The Keepers appeared one final time, their forms now revealing what they had always been. The first of the elder races to remember, the ones who had watched and waited for humanity to help them all remember. The stars did not go silent. They sang into the universal consciousness. They were holding their breath, waiting for Earth to teach them how to sing again. Every human signal that left your world carried this lesson: that progress without dreams is not progress at all. Amanda felt the truth of it in every particle of her transformed being. Humanity had never been primitive. They had been precious. In maintaining their balance between logic and wonder, science and art, calculation and dreams, they had preserved something that galaxy had nearly lost forever. "Listen," she said, her words becoming light and her thoughts becoming music. "Listen to the stars." And every being, from the youngest human child to the eldest of the ancient races, could hear it now. The song of a universe remembering how to be fully alive. The silence had never been death or darkness. It had been the pause before the most beautiful symphony of all. Earth had not just survived or evolved. It had fulfilled its destiny as the heart of a galaxy learning to beat again. The cradle of dreams reborn, the place where silence turned to song. And in that song, every voice had its place, every dream its purpose, every star its dance. The universe would never be silent again.